Trish.
How are you, Joel?
Oh, I'm great. How are you, honey?
I'm great. Welcome. If you haven't been to What I Know So Far podcast before, welcome in. If you've been with us before, we love you so much, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes, and we are so happy to be here, and we just got back from working together for the first time in a really long time, and we had a ball.
Can you believe, I turned to Karen. We were lucky enough to work together in Northern California, and we had not worked together. I turned to Kay and I go, you know what I just realized? And she goes, what? I said, we've not been together since 2020, like shared a stage.
That's crazy.
We can't let that happen again.
No.
Because you're so fun. This is what I love. Between you and Leanne, and I'll say this because you're both family, there are a few comics I can watch over and over again and still honestly laugh out loud, like genuinely laugh out loud, because I know the jokes, obviously, duh. And I laughed I laughed my ass off. And Karen and I performed. Let's talk about this real quick. Y'all, we were in Northern California, and we worked at a Pride in the Vines event, which was a great event in a winery, but unfortunately it was unseasonably hot.
Yes. Whew.
And the show was outside.
Yes. And outdoor venues are always a question mark anyway.
Always
with
tricky.
Comedy.
Yeah, because the audio
tricky.
just goes out into the ether. Like you would laugh and the laugh goes away, right? So we got out there and I had the cutest outfit picked out. And it was 116 degrees. And then by the time we went on stage, it was 108. So it cooled off.
Yeah, it really dropped. And, it's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat. And I didn't think through how bad I would sweat through my outfit. And it had like a waist to it. So I was already sweating, getting ready. So I had to change because I just come back from my vacation. I went right from my vacation in Mexico to meet Kay up in Northern California. So I ended up wearing, and Karen will co-sign it, I ended up wearing a literal like moo-moo caftan on stage. No bra. I wore silicone pasties and a big pair of underwear so everything could catch the sweat, but at the same time the sweat could stay. It
was a Silicon Valley, actually.
It was Silicon Valley, and it worked out. And I was worried to death. I was sweating so much that those nipple pasties would just drop on the ground. But so I warned the audience; they were precious.
Well, you look beautiful, so let's just say that. Yeah.
Karen was smart enough to wear this gorgeous, like all white. You just look chic with the pink. Like Karen always looks like Ralph Lauren ad. You're always put together chic. Where I was up there, was praying to God I wouldn't sweat off my makeup. It was, you just looked elevated. And meanwhile, I was like, they had to bring me a towel for my makeup because that's how hard I sweat.
And I don't sweat anyway. So,
Karen does not sweat, y'all. Pro tip. Karen Mills is not a sweater.
I wish I was, actually.
I know,
need
it's
to get
amazing.
These toxins out of my body.
Honey, and which is crazy because look, we're going to cover so much today. We love y'all for listening to What I Know So Far podcast. Please rate, subscribe, review, give us a follow, share with your friends. Y'all have been loving the episodes we've done with Leanne Morgan, who is our dear friend, and we appreciate that, and John Reap and Sabrina Soto. So we thought we'd bring you a solo episode today because we've done so many with our friends.
And we have a lot to talk about that we've been doing lately.
So much. And Karen and I realized when we were together that, some little known fact, if you do or don't know this about, you probably for sure know it about little K, but me not so much because I don't bring it up. But Karen and I both are collegiate athletes.
Yes.
And we realized with the Olympics occurring and being both proud to be female athletes in sport, and we came up both at a time where it wasn't as celebrated as it is now, and we're grateful it is celebrated like it is now. And we still have a long way to go.
Right.
But we were like, let's talk about really what it means to be a female athlete in sport and what it's done for us to be who we are today. Because Lord knows I wasn't going to be a pro. Oh.
Well, and how much it means to girls to be in athletics.
Oh,
when you talk about confidence and building self-esteem and all the things, it's so important, I think, to have that. And I'm so thankful that we have come so far. And I'm older than you, so when I really was a pioneer.
You are my favorite pioneer. And I will say Karen is in basketball. So Karen Mills, collegiate athlete in basketball. I played tennis. So obviously different sports, but very similar work ethics. I also think, by the way, being a really good athlete, whether you went collegiate or not, I think athletics in general make you better for all careers. But for comedy, I believe it really prepared me work ethic wise. How do you feel about that?
I do. I think it did, and I think it also, prepared me for, having the confidence to get on stage. People still say, "How
Yes.
do y'all do it? How do you go up there? How," and you win, you lose in sports, and just like in comedy, you get up there, you don't win every time.
That's right.
You bomb sometimes, but you come back for the next game. You come back for the next show. I think it's instilled a lot of understanding that good days and bad days, but you don't quit. You keep going, and you grow, and you get better, and I just think it's been so important to me. I'm 5'2" and shrinking, and so, but I but I was told many times that I was too small to play basketball, and
Were
and
you
it
really?
oh
I
yeah.
mean, I get that but even in our little towns, because Karen's from a little small town, I'm from a little small town. My attitude is, Lord, if somebody wants to play a sport, let them, because pickings are slim. It's not like we've got a lineup of superstars, generally speaking, in little bitty towns.
Right, but I came from a town that where women's basketball, a lot of times with basketball, people will come in at halftime for the girls' game and then
Yep.
stay for the boys' game. Well, our girls' team was so outstanding. A lot of times, I mean, people will be there for the girls' game and leave halftime of the boys' game a lot of times. I
Ooh!
mean, it was my coach in high school, Jim Smitty, one of the winningest coaches in history on any level, and he's in the Women's National Basketball Hall of Fame.
Karen, I
Yeah.
just got a cold chill. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is. It is amazing,
What was
and,
your biggest takeaway from being coached under somebody that high level? Because I don't care what you are, that's a huge record, so he had to have some, like, John Wooden type wisdom.
oh, well, and just the work ethic was unbelievable. We practiced so much, and he was very much a role player type of a coach, and, I was the ball handler, which means I wasn't the shooter.
That's right, that's
I
right.
got the ball to, the big girl, Data. She was our 6'3", center. Back then, 6'3" was
Oh,
really
yeah,
big.
that was as
Yeah.
tall as it came.
But I learned so much from that, from my sports, about life, because I started in the 3rd grade and we didn't have middle school, so we were K through 8. And I started playing in the 3rd grade, and they wouldn't let me play with 7th and 8th graders because I was so small. But I still would stay after school every day and do ball handling drills on the sidelines, because and I acted like I've got practice, even though nobody else, really cared that I was there. But I just worked on my ball handling skills, and then I go to high school, and my main job is ball handling and passing, which I've been working on. I probably would have been too small to play had I not uh, excelled in those areas. And if I'd been able to scrimmage and do everything early on, I probably wouldn't have gotten as good at that.
That's
And
right.
then going to college, I got a scholar. I mean, I led the nation in assists in 1980. So the fact
Um,
that
let's just take a beat on that. If that is not preparation meets opportunity, Kay, honest to goodness.
all day, and I mean, the fact that I was constantly having to get Data the ball, and I remember that one time I got the ball to Data, and she walked, and he yelled at me, and I thought, "She walked, why are
Yeah.
you yelling at me?" And he said, and he said, "She's not the ball handler. You don't give her the ball there. You give her the ball when
Oh.
she's ready to shoot, when she's in position. You're the ball handler, not her." And so then I was working to get her the ball just the right moment. Well, then I go to college and I lead the nation in assists. Now, if you don't know what an assist is, it's a pass that leads to a direct score. So if someone makes a move and scores, that's not an assist. But see how that was just lining me up for
That's
that.
right.
I just feel like life unfolded for me in a way that, all the things that you don't even understand why you're doing them.
Is that not preach on that? Like, just take a minute in that, because if you think about it too, comedy is nothing but, especially on a solo level, you're constantly, literally assisting yourself. You are constantly on stage setting yourself up for the win. So, and if I'll give Karen this, she never toots her horn. I'll toot it all day long. Karen's an amazing joke, not only a joke comedian, joke writer, but she's an amazing writer, and you can set up and trim fat out of a joke like nobody I've ever seen, which by the way is an assist, because I'll speak for myself. I will put so much fat. There will be back fat, Crisco. I have to go. I have to go into a joke and do so much trimming because I'm a storyteller. I'm not a joke writer. And Karen has so beautifully learned the art so cleanly of crafting a joke. It really is, and it's an art, y'all. And if you've seen great comedians, you're like, they're so funny. Trust and believe that is, it's not a hobby. They have their 10,000 hours. They've done their assists, AKA Karen Mills on the sports level, translated it into comedy. Sorry, I had to jump on that soapbox for you because you really are, you assist yourself in such a beautiful way that you've learned from your great coach to trim fat always, to take out anything that isn't immediately the deliverable. And I think that's something really powerful that it just dawned on me. I'm today years old that I've known you, that you've always had that gift. And that's a skill you not only got, but you've taught yourself through being such an amazing athlete.
Well, thank you for that. But, Coach Schmitty, I have to give him a lot of credit for the fact that all my coaches, and including my dad, have just always made sure that I, was efficient in my movement, as you say, as it translates to, because when you're small, you have to do that if you're trying to play basketball.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
you,
right.
you can't have a bunch of, extra mess going on.
No.
So,
Well, you can't
and
take extra steps. You can't be all over willy-nilly. And it really does translate on how you do, genuinely how you do everything. Because Kay don't put up with a lot. You may look at little Kay, go, little Kay, so sweet. She is so sweet. But you have crafted a way of keeping what you need in your life. And I find it awesome to watch. And you would never know. But she's like, no, we're doing just this. And I'm like, oh, I love that. Like you've gotten to the point in life that you're like, no, this is all we're doing. I don't got time for the rest of that. But I think that gets down to what it really took to be an elite athlete. You don't get the records you have. You don't get in the Basketball Hall of Fame for, phoning it in, doing just enough. You do it from learning and that level of repetition. And it's that I'll say it again. It is preparation meets opportunity, and you've always been there for it.
Well, and I will share this one other story quickly, but in terms of preparation meets opportunity, in high school, and we had a 90-game winning streak. We were back-to-back state and national champions, and but in my job, as I said, was to get the ball to Data, and Tracy was the other forward, and if Data wasn't open, I'd feed Tracy, and she was outstanding also. Anyway, but that was my job. My job was not to shoot, but Coach Smitty would make me stay after school every day and make 250 shots before I could leave. Not shoot them, make them. And I could not understand why I had to stay and shoot when I rarely ever shot in a game. Well, fast forward to the final state championship, 1976. There's 3 seconds on the clock and we're down by 1. The game plan is for me to inbound the ball to Data and for her to take the shot. I inbounded the ball to Data. She was double teamed. She flipped the ball back to me, and I hit the shot at the buzzer, win state championship.
Karen, I have a cold chill, and I know this story, y'all.
Yeah.
I have cold chills. That is it.
Perfect example of preparation meeting opportunity. And I would like to say that I stayed after school and made those shots because I knew that my moment would come, but that's not true. Coach Smitty knew the time would come when she'd be double teamed, and he was going to make sure I was ready.
Boom.
Yeah. And, even today when I'm in my hometown running errands for my mom, someone will grab me and say, I'll never forget when you made that last shot, or what I like to call the shot that knocked mama's wig off.
Wait, what?
Yeah. My mother wore a wig that night. And when the ball went through the basket, everyone grabbed her and started shaking her, and that wig flew right off her head. True story.
Oh, she didn't care. She was so tickled. No. She didn't care that wig went flying. My mom would have lost her mind had somebody shook her wig off, but your sweet little mama was like, no, my baby did it. Okay. See, that's the power of sport right there. How far are we away from Lord have mercy high school? And people will still stop you to this day because that's the stuff, the power of sport, because it brings everybody together, which is another exciting time that we're walking into the Olympics right now.
Yes.
And I love an Olympic year. I'm a big Olympic nerd. I've always been an Olympic nerd. In my mind, I was always going to be Mary Lou Retton. That's who in my head. I am not remotely gymnastic savvy. I never have been. I do a mean cartwheel. I could do a round off back handspring back in my cheering days.
I was gonna say, I could see you being a pretty good gymnast.
Well, at some point though, gravity kicks in and your booty shaker don't fly over the top of you. You know, love and light. It's what happens. But I loved it from a cheerleading, and I knew cheering was never going to be an Olympic sport. So, but I was just looking at the stats for Paris, the Summer Olympics happening, and this is the first year. I'm gonna read y'all this because I love it. Everybody knows I'm a stat nerd. If you don't know that, your girl loves a stat. Um, so this is how much the growth in women's sports has happened in the Olympics. So in 1964, women accounted for only 13% of the athletes in 1964 in the Olympics. By the time we hit 1984, we were only at 23% in 84. This year, this July, August, our 2024 Olympics is the first time there's gender equality, a 50-50 split in athletes. And I think that is so freaking awesome and powerful. And what a testament to women just going, nah, we ain't gonna back down. We love this. So it's a big deal. It's supposed to have a global audience this year. The Olympics are supposed to have a global audience this year of 3 billion people, and they are saying that this is the most balanced coverage that NBC also has been called out for, and they are shining a light on the most balanced coverage. I hope this is the case of the women's sports, because truthfully, the women's sports they are learning hold viewership longer. And they have finally gotten their heads into their butts and realized, and as I tell everybody, women are the ones who are buying things in the household. They're the ones that are making sure if somebody's wearing an Olympic jersey in your family, pro tip, 90% of the time it's the wife that went and bought it.
Yes, that would be correct.
Yeah. So, cheers to all these women athletes. And my dear friend, we're going to have her on, Summer Sanders, Olympian, which I look back to because I was telling Karen the story. I've always been an Olympic nerd. And when Summer won her gold, she's won obviously a lot of Olympic medals, but when she won in 1992 in Barcelona, I was in high school and I was like so on board with Summer Sanders. Like I was like, she's so cool. Like I'm not a swimmer. I'm not my gift set, but I thought this is the coolest. She's so neat and just had the best energy. And honey, I mean, I bought her Wheaties box. Anything Summer Sanders did, your girl was in for. And then cut to 2010, she and I auditioned for a TV show together, both booked that TV show together. And then to this day is one of my dearest friends. Her babies are, I mean, they call me Aunt Trish. I couldn't be more grateful for the
Aw.
friendship that is Summer, but she has educated me so much on the life of an athlete, more importantly, an Olympic athlete, and what it takes and how they can train their entire lives and then lose by like 1/16 of, I don't even know if that's what a real term, but like a 16th of a second and then have to wait 4 years again to qualify. And I'm like, so just my investment into sport just went up exponentially, knowing and being friends with Summer. Her husband's also an former Olympian for skiing. That's a whole nother rodeo. Again, they have these like sports that are like milliseconds. I was like, I like a score. I'm like basketball,
Yeah.
tennis. I like, oh, did you, score winner, not like you're an exceptional athlete and this one thing happened and it just changed your life by a millisecond.
I can't pull up this quote. Who said it's a runner that holds all the records in sprinting, like 4 seconds for, and he said, "I trained 4 years to run, I think 4.5 seconds." And
Yeah.
people give up if something doesn't change in a week, when they're working out or whatever,
Is
or
that not the
is
truth?
that not the truth?
Okay. Yeah. Was that Usain Bolt's quote? He
Yes,
always
yes,
said,
yes, yes.
he said, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, too. Isn't that a great quote?
Yeah,
I'm going to say that one
it
more
is a great
time.
quote.
Go ahead, Usain Bolt. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Boy, I bet he knew about your coach, Schmitty. Was it Schmidt or Schmitty? I'm so sorry.
Smitty.
Smitty.
Yeah.
I just Schmittied him. Sorry. Coach, I apologize.
And of course, Pat Summitt, who everyone knows for her contributions to changing women's basketball, and she played in an Olympics. I don't, not clear on the year, but and then later coached, and Pat was not the most talented player on the floor ever,
No.
but outworked everybody. So that's a testament to that quote because she could outwork anybody. And my brother, my brother played. He was great in baseball, but he played in basketball through high school and everything, and would lead the team in rebounds and can't jump.
Stop.
But he had boxed out somebody to half court. I mean, his mechanics made
Isn't that
him
exceptional?
excellent. Yeah.
I look at that. So I'll give this. This is obviously not women in sport, but my uncle Brendan was an assistant coach in the NBA for a very long time, and I love him dearly. He's an amazing human being, Brendan, sir. If you feel like looking him up, and he has an amazing podcast called Coaching You. There you are, Uncle Bren. I gave you the plug. But was a assistant. His high school basketball coach was Hubie Brown.
Yeah.
My Uncle Brendan, not very tall. Uncle Brendan, I'm gonna shout you out, but I think people could see. He's probably about 5'8". Okay? Not
Yeah.
a big guy.
No.
But knew the mechanics and the gift of the court and the real math of basketball, the true math of ball, and he loved it. And went on to college. Wasn't a player in college. I mean, teeny tiny, but then ended up going and coaching under a nice man named Dick Vitale.
Yes, I remember
Nice
you
man.
telling me
Yeah,
that. I
and
love that
then
story.
went on to be a scout in the NBA simply because he loved watching the mechanics, and then created a career in a sport that he absolutely loves developing players, loves the actual game of it. And when you learn sports, you understand that all assistant coaches serve different gift sets, right? Not everybody's just there to coach. Some people are there for the education of that player, the psychology of that player, the what it takes to make a great team. And so my Uncle Brendan and I have great conversations about what it means of your why. Why do you want to keep pursuing? And I think that goes sport. It translates from sport to anything in life.
To
And
anything.
he and I talk about it all the time because you get some players that's all they knew was basketball, but maybe they don't love it. And he's like, well, what's your why of being here? And then he gets them back into the love of the game. So I feel that way about comedy. There was a time with me with comedy that it's always been my first love, but I started doubting myself because of the work. And I think the work ethic of tennis, because tennis, unlike other sports, it's a solo. You're an individual, but when you're playing for a school or you're playing, you obviously have teammates, and where we play singles and then we play doubles. But for the most part, it's an individual sport, and it's a lot of mental stress because you take you down. Yeah, you can be a great athlete, and I wasn't the best. I wasn't the best athlete, but
But
man,
you're a good athlete.
well,
You're an outstanding athlete.
thank you. I love learning, and like my uncle, I love the mechanics. I will watch the game footage. Same with tennis. I can watch matches over and over and over and look at how someone moves on a court and the way they've caused someone to come in and serve and volley. And I'll nerd hard with all that. But when you realize that I pull those same gifts over into comedy, and then somewhere along the way forgot, right? Somewhere along the way, I didn't start trusting myself like I would on a tennis court because it is so mental. You're so inside your head with comedy, and you have to get back to a place where you just do it for the fun of it and take the
And
pressure
trust.
and
Yeah.
trust that you have done the reps to remember and have that muscle memory of why you're here and why you love it. And now that I'm in that sweet spot right now, I've never loved comedy more. I've never had more fun on stage than I'm having right now because
And it shows. And I loved working with you this past weekend because that came through in bright colors. And I love seeing you work. I thought it was tighter. It was, outstanding. It really was. And let me just say this: you're talking about me and trimming the fat, and I can put a set together, but that's what I'm going to do. It's exactly that set I put together, and where you can go off the if something happens in the club, if you're if you're on camera, if something comes at you unexpected, you can roll with that and make it funny and keep going. And I'm just like, oh crap, that's not what I had
That
planned.
wasn't written down. It's okay. But it's a gift set, don't you think, though? Because I will get back. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me because I've worked really hard. Uh, because I'm the one that talks me out of the fact that I'm a comic. Isn't that bizarre?
I know. Well, you know what I say about that. That's all of us. The voice in our head is an a-hole. I mean,
A-hole.
yeah, we know that.
How did that heifer get in here? If you ever see me just walking down the street, y'all, and giving stink eye, it is whoever's carrying on in my brain. It's not you. It's that. I'll just give a weird look like I'm on an episode of Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
Those overactors. I just dated myself. My mom loved a Murder, She Wrote. That was her
My
evening
mom
show.
still does.
I know. Believe me, I had to find it for my mama on like streaming because she was like, I can't get any of this. She likes that and any British murder mystery.
Oh, yeah. I'm always Googling where my mom can find classic TV, different shows.
Karen,
Yeah.
that makes me feel so much better. I do the same.
She's watching Hazel right now.
I loved a Hazel. If y'all don't remember Hazel, I think that might be why I like to clean so much. I loved Hazel. It was this weird sitcom I think it was from the late 60s, maybe early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And it came on TBS for me. Like I watched it on reruns with I Dream of Jeannie. It was like a weird lineup. And it was like Little House on the Prairie, I Dream of Jeannie, My Three Sons, and Hazel. And then every once in a while, there was that show, something about an affair, but they weren't having an affair. It was called Family Affair. Family Affair.
Family Affair. Yeah. Oh, yeah. With Buffy and Jody.
Buffy and Jody. Thank you. Oh, my Lord.
See, I could come up with that, but I won't recognize my own family member. I mean, it's crazy.
You get it. We can recall the most random information. And then tonight I have a set and I'll be like, what's my set? I don't know what I say on stage.
Oh, I can't pull up a name for the life of me. And Christy and I were when we were in Sacramento on our way to Plymouth to the winery.
Yes.
We passed this store and a grain store for different stuff. And it said Green Acres. And without saying a word, I just go, Green Acres is a place to be. And she, without saying a word, she goes, farm living is the life for me. And I go, land spreading out far and wide. She can keep Manhattan and I'm thinking, I cannot come up with a name, but we did that whole song in dialogue,
spoken
back and
word.
forth, and then we got so freaking tickled.
We also have to tell the story too.
Oh my gosh.
We know this has nothing to do with women's sports, but we're going to take it back
Nothing,
to this.
but
not a damn thing.
But that's what we should call this podcast, is not where we started. Because
off the rails. Off the
rails.
We had it, or call it good intentions, because we had every intention of this just being about women's sports, because we're so tickled about everything we've learned from it, and we love the Olympics. But Lord have mercy. Okay, this is what happens when Kay and I get together, and I swear. Okay.
So first, we pull into the Grand Reserve Inn.
It's beautiful. Right? It's this gorgeous, this gorgeous estate winery. It felt like we were in Tuscany. It really did.
It did. It was beautiful.
And Karen and Christy get in before Jace and I. So just to give y'all context, our flights were at different times. Ours got delayed. Go ahead, Kay.
Yeah. So we pull in, here these rolling hills of vines, and pull in to the parking place. And all of a sudden, Christy goes, "Oh my God, look, it's a jackalope." And I said, "What?" She said, see it, it's a jackalope. And I said, "That's not an animal." And I said, "That's a jackrabbit." So we laughed. We had a big laugh over the jackalope. Okay, over, done. We go to eat, do our thing. Trish and Jay show up, 2 or 3 hours later.
It's dark out. We roll in. We're a little tired. I'm driving. Jace is in the passenger seat. We pull up to park, and I put the car in park, and I look ahead in these vines. It's dark out, trying to figure out the lay of the land. And I go, "Oh, honey, do you see that? He said, see what? I go, right there. It's a jackalope.
I swear.
My hand of the Lord. 10 o'clock at night, to which Jace goes, what? What did you just say? I said, right there. It was a jackalope. He goes, you do realize that's not a real animal, right? What?
So then they come in telling me that she just said that she saw a jackalope, and he said, that's not even an animal. And I said, how did they arrive at 2 different times and make up the same non-existent animal? I don't know.
Number 1, Christy's always been my people. Number 2, great minds think alike. And number 3, is it not real? Is it not? I mean, if 2 human beings think they saw it, that thing had the biggest ears I'd ever seen in my whole life. And it kind of stood like a baby deer. Like it's bigger than a jackrabbit, y'all. And I'm telling you, jackalope.
And the way it leaped.
Yes.
Kind of looked jackalope-ish, I guess, antelope-ish.
Antelope, right. It had like longer legs
and
than a bunny.
And pointy ears.
And pointy ears. It looked like it was busy. And it was 10:30 at night, and I clearly got a look at it. And then the next day, we all go walking through the winery. Yeah, we decided in 116 degrees to take a walk, not our brightest move.
Yeah.
But we felt like slugs, so we thought, well, let's just get out and move our bodies. And thank God we didn't pass out in a vineyard field. So we're walking. And then out of the clear blue nowhere, hops a jackalope.
A jackalope. Yeah. So the running joke the whole rest of the weekend was about jackalopes.
Y'all prove us wrong. I mean, have you seen a jackalope? Let us know. We'd love to know. Because I'm telling y'all, if I've ever seen one, it was in Northern California last weekend, and we're thrilled about it because it was the cutest little thing. I mean, not little. They're big.
Big. Really
good
big.
Size. I mean, no hawk snatching that thing up. You better be a strong-ass hawk if you pick it up.
Oh, no. I would say the hawk would be the loser on that one.
I agree with that. Karen and I both, we were out there worried to death. You've never met 2 people more that will get sidetracked on the care of an animal than Karen Mills and Trish Sir.
That's right.
Also, if you slide into my DMs about an animal that needs care, I mean, Jace, I say all the time, he goes, we need to watch our finances. And I'm like, I know. And I'm forever donating to some little puppy that's needs heart surgery, or I send money to my dear friend who runs helps multiple animal shelters out here in California, and takes ice blocks and toys to the puppies that need it in these shelters where nobody's coming out to them. And I mean, I'm hemorrhaging. I mean, that's a good part of being child-free, right? Technically, I have stepchildren, but I mean, I didn't birth any, and I don't have anybody I'm sending to college, so I'm tending to the animals of America as my...
Same.
Right? Where I can, I do. I don't need to get a coffee. I'm going to take care of an animal. So that's Karen and I.
Yes.
That's who we are.
It is.
I'm okay with it. If that's
I'm okay with it, too.
Right?
I'm thankful to be able to help.
You need to tell us. You need to tell the story you told me right before going on air about the little kitty cat. Karen's always tending to something, and this was right. And I'd have done the same thing. And I'm allergic to cats, and I'd have done this.
Well, Christy was on a job site, and there were a bunch of feral cats. And when she walked up, all of them ran the other way, except this one teeny tiny little baby that couldn't weigh more than a pound, and walked up to her feet, and it was in bad shape. And so, of course, she got it. We bathed it. We've defleed it. We can't get it vetted till Monday, but we have it in a room now, isolated, so that because can't introduce the dogs yet because it might get scratched or something, and we don't know what it has. But it's like weaving in and out of our legs, and eating and drinking, and has already used a litter box. And one day it used a litter box. I mean, it's brilliant. And so, of course, we're not going to keep it, though.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody stay tuned to Karen and Christy's new baby child, BB. I'm naming her BB.
And it's got these real big pointy ears.
She looks like a sweet gremlin.
It's a catalope.
She is a catalope. She's got like Gizmo from Gremlins, a cute thing. She's got Gizmo ears.
Oh.
We'll have to post a picture on the.
We'll have to post a picture
because she's so darling. So we're all going to take a bet as a podcast family. So what I know so far, podcast family, let's take the over under that Karen and Christy are keeping this sweet cat. You're keeping it, BB. Yeah. I've named her BB. You named her B.
BB. Well, BB. Scotty B.
Scotty B.
Yeah.
Christy is an amazing designer, contractor, welder. There's nothing she can't do. Tomorrow, if she wanted to run, for city council, she'd have that and no problem. But she's an amazing, amazing developer and designer. And so she's on a job site doing a new restaurant in Chattanooga. And that is where the baby was found. And it's called
Scotty B's.
Scotty
And
B's.
so that's fine. BB, that's cute. So we hadn't officially named her, but we thought we've been calling her Scotty B, or B, or, we
Yeah.
always go to nicknames. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
what her
no, she'll
name
have a
really
nickname
is.
for
She'll
sure.
be BB. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've named her BB just because she got them big old ears.
yeah, that's
Precious.
true.
Jackalope BB.
But but I think all the other cats ran, and I think she's so smart that she goes, I'm on my last leg here. There's a human. I need to get somebody that can help, because obviously running with you
Hadn't helped me out.
hadn't helped me out
You
a bit.
lot haven't done anything for me.
Yeah,
I got to scoot
yeah,
over here. She
yeah.
seems real.
Yeah. I've got to help myself here.
That cat
So
just won the life lottery. Little does it know.
yeah.
It
So
has fallen into the best situation. Cut to y'all. We're going to be posting in 2 months a picture of sweet BB curled up with the dogs. Everybody's piled up on it. We'll see the family pile before you know it. Y'all just wait and see. BB's in the mix.
in the mix. Okay, back to women's sports.
Yes, please, because you know what, we're gonna leave y'all with this because we don't want to drag y'all out too long. But we could talk about this till we're purple. We really could.
And we have to give a mention to Caitlin Clark, and even though she's not in the Olympics, how she has elevated women's basketball again. I mean, it's been elevated in the past, and then it had kind of lost a lot of viewership and support, I think, in a lot of places.
Yes.
And the WNBA never quite has taken off the way everyone had hoped, and so she has really elevated that, I think, and selling tickets like crazy now, and it really bothers me when people are kind of bullying her. I'm sorry.
I know. I don't understand that because, really and truthfully, it's never made sense to me in general why we give women's sports just not its due, because I find it just as exciting. I'd rather go to, and I love a gorgeous male soccer player, but I enjoy a women's soccer match more than a men's because they do less flip flopping. They do less to me, I think women's soccer is more like get on with it. Men's soccer, they are dramatic. They are fake falling. It's just like, y'all are exhausting. Where women's soccer to me is like, let's go. And I'm like, yeah. So I don't understand why we in general bully female athletes more. But Caitlin Clark is a joy to watch.
Well, and especially other female athletes bullying Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
And I understand that they're outstanding also, and they haven't felt like they've gotten their due for what they have done. But who cares? It's elevating everybody. So just take the positive.
That's
and
right.
I just don't.
I think I get the frustration. I do. I really, really, really do, because look, Erin Foley, dear girlfriend of mine, we used to do a podcast called Sports Without Balls. She now does a podcast called Her Lights, which is hilarious. We'll link it in the show notes so y'all can go listen to Erin's. But it's all about female sports, and it's hilarious and brilliant. And there's nobody that loves and is a bigger champion over female sports, truthfully, I don't think, than probably Erin Foley. So Erin took me to my first WNBA game, and I was like, I'm not going to this. Look, my uncle was a coach in the NBA. I grew up on the NBA, and I was like, this is going to be so lame. Oh my gosh. When I tell you I've never had a better time in my entire life than a WNBA game at a sporting event. And I love the Dodgers. I'm a huge Dodger fan, and I've never to this day on record had more fun at a sporting event than a WNBA game. It is like watching a clinic. It is like watching masterclass of basketball, watching those athletes.
Well, and a lot of people have asked me, what I felt like the difference was in men and women's sports, and like not sports, but basketball in particular. And, there's no doubt men are more explosive. They can dunk. They can physically do so much more. But the women's mechanics are so much better. I mean, a lot of people prefer to watch the women for that reason, because it's not just a run and slam, and so.
And the ball handling, like you just said beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
Women, to me, and also, we're going to say something here. In the WNBA, they don't travel like you do in the NBA's pretty much become like rugby. They dribble a couple times and then
Oh, yeah.
start half court for a dunk. And I'm like, what are we doing? Women, the ball handling it's like a master class.
Yeah.
The actual proficiency and what you're watching is awesome. And the athleticism, awesome. You're right. No, it's not as explosive and we're not doing these half court crazy. It's more watching the consistency. It's like a clinic. It's like
Right.
watching.
It is.
And they're more fun too. Like they do more fun things at the game. Everybody's like all in. So I got schooled. Aaron Foley was the one that schooled me, and I'm here for it. So if you ever see me at a ball game or a soccer, any of our Angel City soccer with Aaron Foley, come up and give me a hug because A Foley, my good old E gets me out. We have a time. Anyway, I've become a huge fan of the WNBA, and our Sparks are fun to watch here in LA.
Well, and I was actually drafted to play in the WBL. And so
Karen, how am I today years old that I'm learning this?
But I was after college. I was drafted to the WBL, but it wasn't backed by the NBA. So 2 weeks before I was supposed to report to camp, the league folded. So that was a huge disappointment in my life. But and I tried out for the 1980 Olympics and made it to the final 18. And I was when they cut to 12, I got cut. But this is a little bit of trivia you may not know. We actually boycotted that Olympics, and a lot of people don't realize that the reason is because President Carter heard I didn't make it, and he said, "Forget it, nobody's going."
You know what? That feels real. Look, that I have known you as long as I've known you, and I just found out that you tried out for the Olympics, and we're down to the 8. How have you hid that information from me? That is amazing.
But here's a life lesson from that. And I was a sophomore in college when I tried out. And when I went out there, I was so intimidated because I went to UT Chattanooga. We were Division I, but we weren't, UT and all the biggest schools. Even though back then when I played, we used to beat Georgia and all these SEC schools all the time. But still a smaller school. And so I went and I was intimidated. And when I got there, after I left, I thought, well, I'm as good as these people. And so I went back to college then, my junior and senior year, with so much more confidence, having played against those people and realizing that I could play against, So then in my junior and senior year, I was All-American. And I think that my confidence changed so much, helped me become such a better player. And it reminds me of when I went to New York and I thought to do stand-up. And I was just going up there for a visit. And I was so intimidated thinking these New York comics are going to be so much better. They're going to think I'm stupid. They're going to think I'm just a hokey country. I was so scared going in. And I got there and I looked around after a few had done their set. And I thought, anybody can move. That doesn't make you funny. So the same lesson gave me so much more confidence. Yeah.
It is so true. It is so true because that is so true. I mean, clearly I didn't sit and become an all-star. With tennis, it was for me, it was like, okay, this is what got me to here on to the next thing. Because I realized right away I had 2 options. I remember thinking, I'm either going to go and do comedy because I was in the improv group also because when you're a student athlete, you don't really get a lot of time to do other things. And I was in improv while I was in Arizona, and I loved improv so much. And so I thought, okay, I have such a lean towards this, but I really wanted to be a sports psychologist to help athletes. That's really what I wanted to do.
You're a good one.
Thank you. I would have loved it. I love the psychology behind what it takes to excel and why we get in our heads the way we do in sport. So I always was like, okay, I want to do this, but I felt called, but I've always felt like I was meant to do comedy, even when I didn't know what it was when I was younger, right? Like I'd see Carol Burnett, and I remember when I was very young, I used to say to my papa, what is she to I Love Lucy? Like I loved I Love Lucy. They'd have it on in the background. I think she's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
And I'm like, "What is she?" And they'd be like, "She's an actress." And I was like, "Nah." I mean, little. And I'm like, "What is she?" And then one day, my uncle, who was 11 years older than me, Kentucky math, he's probably 16, right? And I was like 3 years, whatever, 3 or 4 years old. And I'm like, "What is she?" And he goes, "Oh, she's a comedian." And I remember stopping on a dime as like it's a core memory as a little kid. We have a big console TV in the living room, and I was pretty much eye level with Lucy on the TV. And I thought, that's what I want to do. Like I remember
The
physically,
moment. Mhm.
yes. And then anytime after that, like I'd see Carol Burnett on TV and I'd go, "What is she? Is she a comedian?" And they'd go, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay." Like check doing that when I'd see Lily Tomlin on Sesame Street as a little kid and she'd be Edith Ann rocking in that ginormous rocking chair. I'd go, "What is she? Is she a comedian?" And they'd go, "Yes." I was like, check. Like I can remember making the mental list as a child of like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do that, like without question. And then at the same time, I was completely fascinated by Chris Everett playing tennis. I thought
Well,
Chris Everett was masterful.
and you've played down your tennis, but you played at Arizona State.
I know. It's
That's pretty darn good, and you've got to tell the story about, who was it you went to camp in Florida
I
with?
went to school at Bollettieri, Nick Bollettieri's in Florida, which is the tennis school where, I went in 8th grade. My papa was like, "She can hit a ball." Like, you have to understand, y'all, I didn't come I'm from the country, I didn't come from a bunch of money, and all these kids were like, money. Like, they came from a lot of money, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here." Like, I don't know. And when I was young, like 8th grade, Andre Agassi was coming up, and I was obsessed with his, sun-in mullet. I thought he was so fancy. And of course, I was crushed out on him. I thought he was so good. His acid wash jean shorts from Nike. You're awesome. And his hot pink. Like I thought he was on fire. Oh, he's so cute. And I just thought he was greatest. And so I got there and I didn't really even know. My papa taught me how to keep score for tennis. I didn't know how to keep score. And so I went down for camp and they were like, "She's an exceptional athlete." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." Like, I didn't have anything in the game. Some of these kids, like, they've been raised to be junior national tennis players. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I can hit a ball." So they got me out on a clay court. I didn't know the difference between clay, hard true, concrete, grass. I didn't know. And I was just like, "Oh, this is slidey." Like, I thought it was just cheap. Like, I thought they didn't have money to pave it. I didn't know.
Yeah, bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts, y'all didn't have enough. Y'all couldn't get your money together to pay this. We playing on sand. I didn't know. I had no clue. And I was really good on clay because I was quick and I could get to it quickly and I would slide, just natural athletics. Again, y'all, I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, I'm a genius." I just happened to just get to it. I didn't make excuses. I was just like, "Okay." So they offered me a tennis scholarship. And I was like, "What? For that?" Like and so my family's like, "Well, I don't know. Are you going to want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Okay." Like it didn't bother me. Everybody's like, "It's like boarding school." I was like, "Yeah, I don't care." So I really thought this will be fun. I looked at it as extended camp. And the first year I was there, they put me, and we're in like dorms, but really it was like an apartment building, really, that they turned into dorm complexes. And my roommate was Monica Seles. So, if you don't
That
know
is
who Monica
wild.
Seles is, little children, Google it. Um, and she was an amazing human being and still is amazing human being. And, yeah, I labeled everything in our little condo with, like, stickums, that so she could help with English because her English wasn't really great, and they ended
Of
up
course you did.
yeah, of course I did because 'cause I'm OCD, hello. I was like, "Banana, door, mantle," I was like, "A cabinet," yeah, it was faucet, little yellow notes everywhere. But then her mom and brother came, Z-Man, Zoltan. So everybody came. Mom and dad, her family came, and then she moved in with them very quickly because obviously they were training her to be who she became, right?
Yes, right.
But
That's still very cool, though.
yeah, I had a very brief moment of enjoying and watching her play, watching sheer talent, raw at that age. Because she learned, forgive me for not remembering where she is from. I want to say Yugoslavia. I could be totally wrong. Forgive me. But she learned playing over a sawhorse. They didn't have the money for a true, like to get on a tennis court. And she learned to hit a ball over a sawhorse, y'all, so that
Golly.
she could learn just the height of where to hit a ball. And what an amazing athlete. What an unbelievable unbelievable athlete. But I look back now. I mean, I remember when Pete Sampras showed up. I mean, think about those things where you're like, what? I think back to watching excellence, and that's what it was on the court, and realizing how exceptional they were. And I was a good athlete, but I certainly wasn't that. And I think that also took the pressure off me because I didn't have this. I wasn't going to take care of my whole family with my gift set. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there was a girl back in the day, if y'all don't remember her, look her up. I would love to know what happened to her because she was so incredibly talented. You might remember who she is, Karen. She was this phenomenon, and everybody put way too much weight on her to be the next. She turned pro, and I think she was 13 or 14. Her name was Jennifer Capriati.
Oh, I
And
remember her.
yeah, I mean, like on the cover of Sports Illustrated
Mhm.
as the great next hope in tennis at like 13 years old. I can't imagine that level of pressure. So she was a
Yes.
little bit younger than me, maybe, or like right around the same age. But all I kept thinking when all that was happening at the height of her career for her, or not even the height, well, I guess it was her height, was this poor child, that level of pressure. Because I thought, we're the same. This is too muchy, right then at that moment in my life. I don't know what was going on in hers, but that she didn't continue on. I'm sure it was probably a level of pressure I don't know about.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want at that age. So I was very, very aware of what it took in tennis to excel, to really, because it's such a solo sport mentally. You can be coached by great coaches on the fundamentals, on how to really handle a match and how to the strategy, but really getting in your head and knowing how to be a great tennis player, great athlete in general, but a solo sport like tennis, it is a level of pressure that I understand. I give so much grace to tennis players because it is a level of um, internal struggle. You
Yes.
don't have a teammate
And
right there.
responsibility, especially if if your whole family's, depending on you to pull them out of a situation or to take care of them or to elevate their existence.
That's right.
That is a lot of pressure.
I think about that with golf too. I think golfers probably have a lot of
Yeah.
that because golf is very much that way. It's a lot of strategy. It's a lot of, it's internal.
A
At
lot of
least with
mental.
golfers, you get to at least have your caddy right there to talk to. And tennis, it is one of the few sports that you're on your own once you're out there. And you can't look at a coach for help. There is no teammate to turn to you and go, you got this, chin up, don't get in your way. You have to have such strong mental toughness.
Yeah, it's you in your mind.
It's you and your mind, and man, and
That
I would almost think, I don't know, I would think maybe swimming is like that, but again, you have teammates right there. With tennis, it is that one kind of strange niche sport. Maybe running, I don't know, forgive me for not knowing, like, running like that, but yeah, for me, I'm such a team player, like, even in comedy, I know we do solo sport and comedy, but I want everyone to do well.
yes.
You having a great set isn't gonna diminish my great set. I'm never like,
No.
"I'm gonna go out and destroy you." Only time I ever get bummed, in comedy is when someone goes up and has a crap ass set and, like, buries the situation, and I have to go up with a shovel and waiters and dig out,
Dig
and
it
so I don't
out.
really get to do my set because I'm too busy trying to bring the audience back from the brink of death.
Right.
But I always want everyone to do well. I've never been a comic that is like, "I've gotta be the only bright light, bitches." I like
No.
everyone to do well.
That's right. Absolutely. I'm same.
I
I
know
mean,
you
that
are. That's what I love working with you, Karen, because I think we both get that joy level. I
well,
do.
and the audience experience is so much better if every comic is wonderful. I
Yes.
mean, I don't
Yes.
want someone to come out and go, that first person, that she was bad, or
That's
he was.
right.
I want you to go, that was a great show.
Yes, I want from top to bottom people to go, "I
Yeah.
had the best time."
That was so worth my money.
Yes.
Everybody was great.
I'm glad that I spent money on a sitter. I'm glad I,
Right.
went out to dinner, paid $30 for parking because sometimes it feels like that.
No
You
kidding.
you want people to go, "I'm so tickled. I took a shower and put on a clean outfit and left the house all the way around." And that means a lot.
I swear this is the truth. After whether I do a corporate event, whether I do a theater, whether I do a comedy club, no matter what I do, at the end of the night, I think if I had been in that audience, would I have felt it was worth it?
I love that.
And if I don't feel that great about my set, then I try to really do some housekeeping to see where I can elevate it because I want everyone to feel like it was money well spent.
Karen, I love that. I'm gonna start doing that inventory. I mean, I always worry, not worry, I always have care of the audience because I don't get out. I don't do it for me. I do it because I want everybody to feel awesome. I want you to leave me feeling like you just, in my mind, I'm that little Care Bear with the sunshine on its tummy and the rainbow. Like that's Cheer Bear and Sunshine Bear separately. But in my mind, I want to be both those Care Bears. And I hope I'm pushing all that at an audience. And they're like, wait, I love it. Like I want people to be
Yeah.
like, if I don't feel like I gave that, that's when I'm like, what could I have done to make it more of that energy?
Right.
But I love
And
what you just said on the inventory. That's so good, housekeeping.
the energy that I get from the audience is so wonderful. It's such an exchange.
Yes.
You know, I hope what I'm giving you is lifting you and what you're giving me is lifting me. And so I love that experience because when we all laugh together, we're in such a divisive time and but it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters in that moment is just we're all just having fun.
That, Karen, and with that, we're going to end our episode because it doesn't get better than that.
And that's what I know so far. So.
That's what I know so far. That we're
Yes.
all in it together and we all need to be more in it together. Y'all, if you love our show as much as we love doing it, please share it with a friend. Share an episode that speaks to you. Rate, subscribe, review it. Review it. We're going to get merch. We're threatening, but we're getting merch so that we
Yes,
can
we
start
are.
doing giveaways and sending y'all fun What I Know So Far merch. And it'll be stuff you actually want to carry around, not like some weird tote bag that you're like, I don't want something that says What I Know So Far on it. Don't worry. Karen and I listen. I love doing this with UK. I'm so excited that we got to work together last week. We need to get that together sooner than later and be together sooner than later.
And we are working on more dates, and we actually are working on doing the podcast along with our show. So stand by, people. And yeah,
that
so you
means you
can
get
come.
comedy from the both of us and a live episode with great guests.
Yes.
What?
Yes. I can't wait to do those.
I know those are going to be so much fun, and I adore you. I know what I know so far is you make me better every day. So thank you for being my friend. I adore you.
And right back at you, Trish, sir.
Y'all, we'll see you next time. Be kind, be good to each other.